Well, hello on this chilly, rainy Tuesday evening from Los Angeles. Welcome to In the Closet with Amy Goodhart. And it is a snuggly night to stay in. I'm still recovering from my weekend in Vegas with Popcorn Planet crew and Nerd Report crew and all of the fans. It was so much fun. I did want to launch In the Closet before I left so I could go live from there. But there was like, excuse me, get a little drink. I'm drinking some wine, my beautiful crystal glass. Yeah, Vegas was crazy and it definitely took me a little while to recover. But today's a very chill video and I don't have any specific topic except I wanted to do an Ask Me Anything show, kicking off In the Closet. And the whole idea behind the show is I want to interview people and talk about things that are stigmas, things that are taboo, forbidden, secrets. And I thought I'd just put it out there to some of the fans on Telegram, and a lot of, random questions came in. So I guess you guys will get to know me a little bit better. We'll see if anyone asks any hard questions. But yes, it is chilly. It is raining in Los Angeles. I'm working my kind of winter look, which is like a very Theranos, giving Theranos realness, little Elizabeth Holmes, black cashmere turtleneck. Soft and snuggly, though. It's very soft. So here's the Ask Me Anything. And then we'll see how it goes. Interesting to do an interview show without interviewing anyone. You'll have to tune into the other videos for that. So please subscribe. Here is a question from Jen, and I believe this is from Nerd Report Telegram. Jen, what do you do? Hey, sweet Amy, what do you do to center yourself? Interesting. Well, I'm definitely the kind of person that I get overstimulated very easy. Too many sounds, too many lights, too many people. I need centering a lot. And I actually discovered meditation probably back in, I want to say like 2006 was when I first started practicing meditation back when I was living in New York. I was living in Brooklyn in 2006. And it took a while. It took a while for me to actually click, and get it and start feeling the benefits. And I tried everything, chanting and, the candles and looking at a flicker of a flame and listening to rain sounds and things like that. And I actually started doing a lot of guided meditations with an app with Deepak Chopra, which I love because there's like a message that goes with it. But meditation is amazing. It definitely helps with like feeling irritated. I feel like when I do meditate every day, that shit just like rolls off my back and it doesn't bother me as much. Whereas if I'm, I bounce out of bed and start working and checking emails and things like that, I'm more scattered. So meditation really does work for me. I try to do it every day. Every little bit helps, even if it's 10 minutes, even if it's 10 deep breaths. Everyone has time for 10 deep breaths. I mean, a lot of times people think, well, where am I going to find, 40 minutes a day? And they think that you're going to just become like a Zen Buddhist monk all of a sudden. But I do like listening to, I'll put my headphones on. If I don't do a guided meditation, I'll just listen to some kind of like trippy music, the stereo, I forget what it's called, binaural sounds, where you'll hear like rain and leaves and birds and things like that. Although I did grow up in a city, I'm not that much of a nature person. So I keep it to more of the kind of trippy, white noisy stuff. But meditation is great. It is great for everyone. It's good for your health. It keeps you young. Because I do believe that stress is the one thing that ages you. And I'm getting, in my I'm middle aged, I guess, if I live to be 100. And and yeah, fuck stress, right? So that's my answer for Jen. That is how I center myself, is with meditation. And it does feel really good. And if anyone wants to do a guided meditation with me, let me know in the comments, and maybe I'll actually do a video on it one day. All right. These are completely random. So thank you, Jen. Brandon Torres. Oh my goodness. I love you, Brandon, my nephew. I call him. Brandon wrote to me. And again, I'm reading these in no order. What do you miss most about Japan? Everything. I used to spend a ton of time in Japan. For about 5 years, I was working with the same director on a bunch of short form, like short films that were commercials, but they were like 4-minute long commercials. They're really crazy. And I worked with one director for 5 years, and that opened up so many doors for me, working with other directors in Japan. So I used to go to Tokyo all the time. And I mean, I would go there every couple of months, and spent just loads and loads of time in Japan. So what do I miss about it? I wanted to say the food, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't miss my friends. I miss my friends so much. I have some fantastic, true, loyal, beautiful, fabulous friends there. Before I even knew a word of Japanese, they would struggle with their English. And then I started studying Japanese so that I could communicate with the people better. So I love working there. I love designing costumes for different movies and commercials and music videos and all that kind of stuff in Japan. But I really miss my friends. They're incredible people, absolutely incredible. But yeah, so I guess I'll go to another question before I get all like mushy and sentimental. Here's a question from Karen Nelson. Karen asks, did you always want to be a costume designer, or did you have another career in mind? Well, actually, costume design came quite late. My career kind of came full circle. I always wanted to be a dancer, and I did, in fact, become a dancer, a performer professionally. I would dance and sing, and I was a showgirl, and I would have giant feather headdresses on and do all these crazy parties and performance art and performances. But my mom taught me how to sew when I was really young so that I could learn how to make my own dolls and clothes for my dolls and things. So I think it's interesting how it came full circle for me being a costume designer. It was really about the time when I was like 18 years old, 17 or 18. And I was in the East Village in New York. And I got a job working at a vintage clothing store. And I was just working as a sales girl and, making minimum wage. And my boss was this fabulous old man, Jack, and he had had his store for 25 years. So this was in the late 80s, early 90s in New York. And he had his store so before vintage clothes were really trendy. And he even designed all the clothes for the original production of Hair, the musical, when it was off Broadway at La Mama. So I was working there, and I just loved dressing up every day. I loved all of the clothes. And my boss, Jack, taught me everything about vintage clothing. And then one day he asked me if I wanted to come into work on a Sunday, and he was going to take me buying with him. So the way it worked is we would go to this big warehouse in Brooklyn, this place I think it was called Dempsey's. And we would buy clothing by the pound. And his business, like he always liked buying vintage denim because a lot of the kids at the time, especially Japanese tourists, would come and buy vintage Levi's, like rare Levi's and stuff. So he was really into buying denim and kind of like 70s stuff. And I went with him and I just was absolutely fascinated by this giant warehouse. And he would throw me in the bins. He would literally like give me a boost with his hands, and I would jump into these bins of clothes and just touch all the clothing and all the fabric. And he would teach me like, this fabric is, silk charmeuse. This is a 1930s slip, a woman's slip from the 30s, or this is a type of lace, or this gabardine is a man's shirt from the 1940s, or this is, polyester, whatever, from the 60s. And so he just taught me everything I knew and I still know about fabric, time periods, clothing. So I loved it. I loved buying the clothes. And then he let me start doing all of the mannequins in the window and playing dress up with, the mannequins and doing the displays. And so this was going on, for whatnot. And I was just working, making minimum wage. And Jack asked me, he said, can I talk to you for a minute, And he looked kind of serious and I was worried. I thought, like, did I screw up? Am I getting fired? Like, what happened? And he said, I wanted to tell you that our business has quadrupled since you started buying for me. And I was like, what? He told me that month he had made like 4 times the amount in sales since I started picking out the clothes. And I was really into fashion. I would save up my money and buy Italian Vogue magazine and look at the editorials. And that was always my inspiration, for doing the window displays and my own fashion, kind of quirky punk fashion sense I had. And so when he told me that, he said, hey, how would you like to be my business partner? And I was barely 18 at the time, if so. And he let me know that there was a storefront down the street, across the street, for rent. And I think in the East Village, the storefront at that time was something like $700 a month, if you could imagine. And he said, I'll pay for the first month rent and the insurance. After that, you're on your own. You can buy your own clothes, price them what you want to price them, hire your own, helpers and salespeople, and we'll be business partners. And of course, I said yes. And so this job that I had to just make a little bit of money to pay for dance classes ended up being, my foray into the business world, being an entrepreneur and owning my first business. And it was so much fun. Of course, the first person I hired was my sister because we lived together at the time and, we needed money. And I did end up, going to dance school, going to classes, becoming a choreographer, becoming a performer. But the fun part was always the dressing up. The fun part was always dressing up myself and then the other dancers. And then my company got bigger and I was doing bigger shows and, cabaret shows and all of these, incredible, performances. And New York was just amazing then. And so I had that whole career and I never ever thought about doing costume design for film. I didn't really know anything about it, but years after retiring from performing, I started a production company that produced live shows and dance and costumed entertainment. And I had an opportunity to do a commercial with a photographer I collaborated with, and it had a really good budget. I couldn't believe it. I was so excited. I hired all my friends. I was like, hey, you know how to use a glue gun? You're hired. And I did a commercial and then a couple of them. And then it wasn't until I think 2013 was when I did my first film. I did not have any experience in costume design and film, but I thought, hey, I'll just start over again. It's like starting a whole new career. So even though I always knew how to design costumes, I knew how to make costumes, I knew how to style, shop, do all of those things, I didn't know about the film world. So it all came full circle. After I did my first movie, it filmed here in Los Angeles. And even though I was living in New York, I told the producer, please, I know I don't have the experience, but please hire me. I said, I promise to make your movie look expensive. And they were apprehensive about hiring me because I didn't have experience, but it was a post-apocalyptic sci-fi film called Phoenix 9. And it's just still one of my favorite projects I've ever done because of the challenges I had and, learning everything about the film industry, through that first film. I went back to New York after we shot here. We shot in the desert. And I went back to New York, and then I just decided I was going to, leave everything, quit my company that I started, leave my apartment, my friends, my family, and without knowing anyone, move to LA to be a costume designer. And that's what I did. And the rest is history. Not history, because it's still going. But that's how that all happened. So, Karen, you got to get my life story there. Let's see what this question is. Oops, someone said, let's see. Favorite genre, that was too hard to answer. PC Tech Radio. Hey, what's up? PC Tech Radio wrote me a question. Amy, if you could work with anyone in the film industry in your dream film, who would it be and what would the film be? Well, there's a lot of directors on my favorite wish list. I would love to work with. Obviously, I would say Tim Burton. I would love to work with Tim Burton. I would love to work with Guillermo del Toro. He's a complete visionary. Actually, I've become friends with a costume designer, Luis Siqueira, who does all of Guillermo's films for the past 5 or 6 years, maybe longer. And he's a brilliant inspiration. I love this guy. And I don't know. There's a lot of directors. I love Alma Har'el is a great director that I'd love to work with. And Tarsem Singh, he hasn't done anything major in a while, but he's really great. James Wan, 100% I would love to work with James Wan because I love horror movies. So James, if you're watching, please call me. Please call me. Ooh, my lighting just turned into a ghost when I talked about James Wan. So I guess those are some of the directors or projects I'd like to work with. I love doing sci-fi. I love doing fantasy. The weirder, the better. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where things go. I've done music videos, commercials, television, reality TV, films. And I'm really happy where I'm at right now that I've sprinkled into doing so many different genres, but also different types of projects. So I know after being in LA now, I'll be in LA 9 years this January. So I kind of have an idea. So PC Tech Radio, I hope that answered your question. Let's see, what's another one? Lisa Boo from Nerd Report Group asked me, hi, Amy, what is your favorite material to make costumes or your clothing with? Ooh, trick question. Lisa, I love making things and designing costumes out of completely unconventional materials. Some of the best things I've ever made have been a whole clothing line I made out of food. And I'll show you some of those pictures. I think I like to be challenged. I mean, I love feathers and I love sparkles and I love Swarovski crystals, but I like challenges. Paper, origami, making costumes out of things that are just unusual materials is really my absolute favorite. So the weirder and the more challenging and the more difficult, the better, I guess. That's kind of complicated. Let's see here. I have questions from Carla B. Carla, who I met in Vegas. Big up, Carla. Hi, sweetheart. Carla wrote me a bunch of different questions. I'm going to read a few and see which one. Amy, do you encounter people at work who put you down? If yes, how do you deal with it? So that's one question. And then her second part is, if you were given the opportunity and money to do anything you wanted in one day, what would it be? Ooh, that's a really hard one. That one I'm going to have to think about. As for the first question, as far as if I encounter people putting you down, I will no. I think when you put out respect and love and good energy and keep your stress levels down at work when you're on set and when you're in a fast pace, I think that, you know, what you put out, the good comes back to you. I will say that costume designers in the industry and in the union, especially, costume designers are 85% female, and the rest of that percentage is largely LGBTQ plus. But we are underpaid in many, many ways. So I'm not being put down, but in a sense, my industry is, because it has been proven that costume designers are paid less due to basically our gender, and it hasn't changed in a really long time. And the statistics are crazy and staggering when you see how much more our male counterparts make, like art directors, production designers, cinematographers. So not put down, but the industry in a whole, I would say, needs to like snap up the jazz and, you know, get their ish together so that costume designers are getting paid equal pay with production designers, who are predominantly 85 to 90% male. Yeah, I think it'll just feel better. We'll just feel better knowing that our work is being seen and that we're being paid equal as our male counterparts, and that we are getting paid for what we deserve. So you can follow #NakedWithoutUs on Instagram. We are in a big fight right now for pay equity. And so that's one of the things I would say in my job that I feel a little bit like, you know, I hear stories of what certain assistant costume designers are making barely scale, and you know, the minimum wage of what the union, and it's not enough. It's not enough. Women shouldn't be worrying about how can they retire, you know, when we're doing so much. We are the storytellers of the characters that you see in costume design. So I don't think anyone's put me down, but that's something we're not happy with yet. Let's see. There's some good ones here. Another question from Carla B. What makes your heart jump with joy? Honestly, puppies. It's as easy as that. What makes my heart jump with joy? I just love dogs so much. Puppies make my heart jump with joy. I mean, of course, Yeah, I'm going to stick with puppies. I think I like dogs better than people most of the time. And there was another question here. Let me go back. There was another question from Donna. Donna, love you, never change. Love that name. Hi, Amy. What's your favorite job to date? I can't really say I have a favorite, but I've been super, super blessed and so fortunate. And I was going to say lucky, but it's not luck, but I'm very fortunate that I've been able to travel as much as I have for work. And I have designed costumes for jobs that have filmed in Japan, Italy, Guam, Iceland, Thailand, Brazil. Oh goodness, so many places. So many, Chile, in the Andes Mountains. I've filmed in the deserts. I've filmed in typhoons. I've filmed on islands. I've filmed in glaciers. I have filmed when it's hot, when it's cold, when it's wet, when it's dry, when you're working 16-hour days, which is like a normal thing. When you're working 16-hour days, when you have a great crew and great people with you, and the traveling aspect of it, I would say. So all of my favorite jobs to date most likely are the ones that I was somewhere that I hadn't been before. And gosh, Thailand was really crazy. I'm going to have to start editing some videos together so you guys can see. Or you could head over to my website, which is just amygoodheart.com, and see some of that stuff. So thanks for the Ask Me Anything questions. I like that. I like it a lot. I hope that gave you guys a little bit of, insight about what I do creatively, what I do, how I got here. And I really look forward to hearing all of your feedback on the interviews that I'll be doing. There's a lot coming up, so I will be posting everything. Thank you so much. I love you so much. This new community, my new baby journey here doing YouTube, it's really exciting. I've been wanting to do this for a long time and I couldn't do it without you. So thank you. Please leave your comments below. Please subscribe, share it with your friends, let them know. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.